What up, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of College Football Preview Week. We're only about a week or so away. As a matter of fact, 7 days from today will be the first college football game of the season. Guys, this is going to be exciting. I'm very, very excited to announce that College Football Preview Week is brought to you by the Fanatic Sports Group produced Kings of Saturday docuseries about the greatest college football dynasties of all time. And one of the fun things about college football is rivalries, okay? Before we introduce, we definitely have to say what's up to the greatest salsa maker of all time and the Fanatic Sports resident Angry Puerto Rican, Anthony Roman. It's good to have you back with us, brother.
Hey, man, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me back, man. It's been a while, man. I do apologize for missing a lot of shows. But I do have to ask, man. I really, really do. Looking at my bottom right, I'm looking at Boise State. Blue and orange looks like a fake Denver Bronco fan. I see an LSU fan. He might have came from where you are living at right now. So I'm a little confused, like what's going on. I feel like I'm getting like double teamed here, with the comments. And then we got wait. What is that? Tennessee? Oh, you have a Tennessee hat on. You have a Tennessee visor on. It looks like you got a Tennessee visor on, man. Is that a Tennessee visor?
No, I think that's those salsa fumes are getting to your head or something.
The jalapenos, he's rubbing them in his ears.
So in the salsa, not in your eyes.
So look, man, first off, we want to say thank you very much to these Saturday rivals for joining us. Mason, Cam, Preston, man. You guys have been doing some really special things, checking out what y'all are doing. Very excited to have y'all on. Tell us where we can find all the work that y'all are doing so far.
Yeah, so we're pretty much everywhere right now. Spotify, you can find us on Spotify. That's where we put our podcast every week. Right now, we're posting once a week on Wednesday morning, so you can check us every Wednesday morning for that. We're also posting that on YouTube. Our main social media that we're running probably more stuff on is X. And so you can find us on there at the Sat Rivals or Instagram. If you go to any of our socials, though, we have our link in bio that's going to connect you to all of our socials on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We have a Threads account. We got to get on there, everything. So we have it all there. So you can click there. And then you can also get involved in our show when you go to that link in bio page to send questions or send comments for us to react to, as well as you can even just listen to the podcast there. So everywhere we are, that's where you can find us.
And that's again, part of the reason why I felt necessary to reach out and get y'all on and join us, man. And so thank you very much for taking out the time to do so. All right. So we hadn't done this in a while, and this is exciting. Here at the Fanatic Sports Podcast. So the reason I call it Fanatic, fan, of course, short for Fanatic, sometimes call it, they say it's a synonym to crazy, or as we like to say around here, passionate. So, and we love the story of this thing, right? You don't just pick your school. I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But we love to hear the story about why and how you guys got there. So what we want to do is give it, and you don't have to do college football. I know we're going to talk a lot of college ball here real soon. But give me any sport. So pickleball, any level, high school, elementary, if it's underwater basket weaving, your favorite team, on any level, any sport, give me your favorite team and how you became a fan. I'll let you guys, decide who wants to go first.
Mason, why don't you go?
Yeah, I'll take it. All right. So I am an Alabama fan, born and raised. I get hate for it. I feel it though. Okay, I'm not a Saban bot. I came in. I was built on Shula.
That was disgusting. Okay, right, don't ever say that again.
Whoa. Okay, all right. If he was a Shula fan, so shout out to the Sportsland girls over there. They went to school at Alabama. during the Shula years. You know, Arkansas beat Shula. So if you were a Bama fan during the Shula years, you deserve all of the rings, all of the happiness that you can have because Mike Shula was bad. So, all right, you're all right. That's fine. You're an acceptable Alabama fan. Go ahead.
Look, you say Arkansas beat Alabama at that time. It was about everybody was beating Alabama at that time. But yeah, so I'm born and raised in Birmingham. So you know, it's kind of a second religion to be a football fan here, and you got to pick between the two at this point.
That is a fact.
And so, so my dad, he was he's a big Alabama fan, and his grandfather was a professor at the university. So they had season tickets growing up and everything like that. So I just carried it on. Been an Alabama fan under Shula. So I try and avoid too much hate when I can, but that's where it started. Other than that, I'm a huge Boston Celtics fan.
That's where the issue arises.
I don't get to.
We giving him the pass for Alabama, but he still keeps the front runner status going.
I don't get to talk hoops on our podcast at all. So I'll throw that out there when I can.
We'll have to have you back because the great thing is our Angry Puerto Rican here is a Knicks fan. That's why they're gonna. Yeah, I know. Listen. I don't know. You can't pick who you love, Mason. He's my brother, and I love him. And I can't, somehow I don't know. We're friends somehow. I don't get it, but we like the Razorbacks. That's where it meshes for us. So.
He's got his season. He can talk now. It's all good. They'll be back in the dumpster next year.
It'll be another 50 years before they get back to the finals. It's fine. It's all good. So tell me how you became a Boston fan, though.
Same thing, man. Under my pops, he's a Celtics fan. So it just kind of carried for me. I mean, I wish I had some grand story about being from Boston or something, but just following the old man.
Yeah, that's good enough for me. How about you, Cam? Give me because you're a Tigers fan. Go Tigers! I hate LSU with everything in my soul, but I can't not love God. What's his name?
Man.
The Coach O is freaking amazing, bro. I love that dude with all my heart, man. I wish he coached Arkansas or anybody else. When he was at USC, that's fine. Anybody, but Ed Ogeron deserves the world. And, you know, look, he brought a ring to LSU. You can't not love that. But, man, why LSU? Anyway, not important. So you became an LSU fan. Tell us about that.
So I'm about to throw you on a loop for this, all right? So
okay.
I am not from Louisiana, and I confuse friends all the time on this. Okay, so all three of us right now live in the Birmingham area, so that's kind of where we met. I am originally from the great state of Kentucky.
Hello.
Okay? About an hour north of Nashville in a town called Bowling Green. Cool fact, only place vets. All right, it's a great place. So I grew up there. My dad grew up in Atlanta. My mom moved around between Birmingham and Alabama and Huntsville and Florida. So she kind of moved around. So my dad, we got it from my dad. My dad's the big LSU fan. Okay. For him, though, his parents, he's lived in Atlanta his whole life. His parents are Georgia fans. And he decided he wanted to rebel and didn't want to be like them. It's pretty natural for him if you ever meet him. And so the only thing he got on his radio at night, or one of the only things, was WWL New Orleans. And so he grew up listening to LSU sports whenever he was a little kid. And then mom didn't really care about college. So me and my sister got indoctrinated up in Kentucky. And you know how, like, if you haven't lived up north or in Kentucky, it's all basketball.
Right.
Okay. They don't care about football. Football is the extra thing that's, oh, hey, cool. We won a game. Big freaking whoop. Let's get ready for basketball season, you know? And so we moved down to Birmingham right about as when I started middle school. Okay. And it's like complete culture shock. You go from nobody caring about football to everybody caring about football. And the first question everybody asks you here, Alabama or Auburn. And then when you say and answer neither, everybody hates you. So, you know, it just kind of is what it is. And, you know, you got to revel in it. It's great. I can't stand either one of them. Most of my family are Auburn fans. So we actually go to the LSU Auburn game in Auburn pretty much every single time that's been there. I think I've missed one game since 2001 or 2000 down there, so that's always a good time. But yeah, big LSU fan. My dad, how I kind of split from the tree, though, is my dad's a Falcons fan. He's from Atlanta. Okay. Screw the Falcons. All right. We're who dat, we're going Saints all the way. And so that's my team for NFL. Of course, you got to adopt the Bengals if you're an LSU fan. Yeah. And I know the news the past week, and I'm sure Mason and I and Preston will talk about this when we record for this week's episode of the whole Jaden news. But you still gotta love Jaden and love the Commanders. So I got his jersey up in my closet. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but I might have to cover it and write 4 on it. I don't know. But
hey, all right, look, so let me give you a high 4. I don't want to get sued. I actually support what Jaden is doing, and I understand it because he's not getting the same love. To be fair, Joe Burrow did win a championship and Jaden did not. But I mean, look, the LSU's had 3 Heisman winners, right? So I mean, we got to show him some kind of love there. Also, another thing with our Angry Puerto Rican, somehow I actually know how, but it's a fun story how he became a Commanders fan. So a kid in New York becomes a Washington fan. Imagine that. Whatever. So, but that's why I love these stories, because it's so funny to me, like to hear how people become fans of the teams they become fans of. How about you, Preston? What? You're a Gators fan. God bless you. It's not your look, man. I'm a Razorback fan. We hadn't won in the swamp in years, so I won't judge you.
Hey, it's difficult, man. But I mean, I remember growing up, and it was Alabama was dominating the sport, and I remember looking at my granddad, who was a huge Gators fan. I think it was around 2014, and I was like, I'm ready to quit, man. It's like, I'm going to go over to Alabama. I'll be with Mason. I was like, I'm ready to be done. I was like, I want to win some championships, dude. I can't keep doing this. But I remember vividly, it was 2015. We were playing Tennessee in the swamp. I think we were unranked. I think Tennessee was in the top 25. And this was like, Tennessee hasn't won in like 10 seasons, 11 seasons, whatever it was. So they come to the swamp that season. We're sitting in like the sunshine seats. So we're at the very top of the stadium. Mm-hmm. Mind you, it is like 105 outside. So I got my frosted lemonade. We're chilling, but it's late in the game, and I don't remember the exact situation, but it was a 4th and 15, I think it was. And a young quarterback by the name of Will Greer, who unfortunately later on that season got suspended because of PEDs, threw a pass over to Antonio Callaway, and Antonio Callaway breaks free and runs 50 yards for a touchdown. And I remember losing my mind. And then later on in the game, Tennessee drives into field goal range. They kick one field goal that fell short, but they called a timeout right before they kicked it. So we were all like, well, dadgummit, man. And then they kicked it again. From where I was sitting with my mom and my little brother, I remember this. It looked like it went in. So we just thought, oh, well, we lost, man. And my brother's crying, and I'm sitting here like, dadgummit, dog. And then I'm looking at the other side of the stadium, and everybody's losing their mind. And then they put it on the Jumbotron, and it just fell right short of the field goal post, and I just lost it. I was like, oh my gosh, we won. Yes. But I think it was that moment specifically where I remember watching that game and was just like, yeah, I think I can stick around with this team. But, Jim McElwain happened, and then we had a few good years under Dan Mullen. Then Marco Wilson decided to throw a cleat 20 yards down the field.
A shoe, baby. It's the best thing ever.
Did everything. And I don't even want to talk about the guy we just had in there. So we're not even going to bring that up.
It's fine. That's acceptable.
Preston is our baby of the podcast.
When he said 2014,
live out the Tebow years. So
I was 4 years old whenever Tebow won a Heisman. So that.
All right,
that was way before my prime.
So one story about Tebow, and then we'll get moving. So I got the chance to meet Tim Tebow over the spring. So I'm 41. So and I think Ant's 42, 43. We're an old group. And so I remember Darren McFadden rushing for 1,800 yards, and what I felt like should have been his Heisman win. I have always said that if I got to meet Tim Tebow, he and I would have a conversation about a couple things. Number one is that Tim Tebow owes Darren McFadden a Heisman, or if he doesn't want to give it to Darren McFadden, you need to give it to Lewis Murphy and Percy Harvin. Second thing I wanted us to converse about was that I could throw the ball further with my left hand than he can, and I'm right-handed. And then after that, let's have a beer and let's talk. Well, here's what happened when I met Tim Tebow. We were in the back of he was speaking at a fundraiser, and I was actually doing some work there. And so I see this stocky fella. I'm 6'5". I'm an offensive tackle. 6'5". I'm under 400 pounds now. Big fella. And so I see this guy in the middle of this big crowd. He starts walking towards me. He shakes his hand. He says, "Hey, I'm Tim." And so instead of that stuff I told you I was going to tell him, I said, "I'm Joe." And then he walked to the green room, and that was it. And I was so starstruck and fangirling about this, first of all, how big this guy is, that I forgot not only that I wanted to have that conversation with him, but that I was a sports podcast host and that maybe having his connection could be useful. None of that registered with me for 2 hours. All I could do was fangirl and think, man, this guy shook my hand. That's pretty special. So, if I get the chance, maybe I'll reach back out to him and we'll have that conversation at some point. But but I was mind blown, and so I've stopped saying what I'll say when I meet someone. But like it was really, really cool to meet him. We said a few more words, but that was about the most of it. And so it cracked me up that he would. That, after years of this, man, like we lost to them in the swamp. I felt like we got cheated in the swamp off of a terrible call. Lost to them in the national or in the conference championship. Just different things where it's like all the stuff I wanted to talk with him about. And, when I finally meet him, the thing I say is, "Hi." When you meet a superstar, things change, right? So, but no, man, it's a blast to get to have y'all speaking with the Saturday Rivals, 3 very different fan bases, all from the same area, and that's I think the thing that shocks me the most. You got something, Ant? Oh, I can't unmute you. You got yourself muted. I can't unmute you.
Yeah, I got something. I wanted to mute myself while y'all were talking. It's kind of weird. You guys are all friends, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm so confused how this actual works. Like it's a little confusing to me. All right, man, we got a Denver Bronco fan right here. Don't know how that fits when it comes to college football, but we'll just go ahead and just let that go. You look like you got the old school version of Denver, man. I swear to you, you got the old school version of Denver. I commend you for that, man. I commend you. Yeah, I'm so sorry that you are a Florida fan. It's kind of little weird. I actually won't call myself weird, but you are kind of weird. We got LSU. You're a Knicks fan, so I can't say the same. Nixon 5. Remember this. And man, I can't see you, so there's a reason why this is happening.
That's because they're way up in the standings.
So just remember that. We got an LSU fan. Don't know how that's even possible. How we got 2 LSU people on here. We got Blocka over here. He's living in Louisiana, and we got an LSU fan. This wasn't a coincidence. Coingadink.
Hey Cam, have you been down here?
I realize that y'all are in cahoots. And then we got Mr. Alabama. Mr. Alabama came out of nowhere, but
you don't have to explain it.
I gotta drop this real quick. So Cam and I, funny enough, we're actually exact opposite. So like I said, I'm a Bama fan. My lovely wife, she is an LSU fan. So I kind of got to dial it back a little bit, dial back the hate. Cam's the exact opposite. You know, he said he's an LSU fan, but his wife's a Bama girl. So,
oh boy.
Yeah. So that's where like we still kind of dagger at each other a little bit, but we kind of got to keep it quiet.
Yeah. If you guys go listen to our first episode that we put out, we kind of put in some stories on that whole situation for you. So you can go check it out. Preston kind of failed us on getting the clips out for our first episode. So maybe we might get a clip out to get that. But yeah, it is what it is, right?
the Saturday rivals. And so look, they're everywhere from Spotify to all the social medias. They aren't hard to spot, which, like us, man, they're like dust. We're everywhere. So, that definitely check them out. And hopefully I'll be getting a copy of this for you guys to be able to shoot as well, if you'd like. So, all right, let's dig into this, man. Before we go, I want to, dive deeper. So we'll start with the top 25, which, Ant alluded to it. Anything in the top 25 that's a little shocking or maybe something that stands out to you guys?
There's no respect for Indiana, man. Indiana just won the Natty, and we're putting them at 6. You're like, where's the respect there, man? And also, I am a perennial Notre Dame hater.
Yep.
They missed the playoffs, and we're ranking them at 4 and all this hype for them. I don't get it. They just had 2 running backs drafted in the top 2 rounds, and we think they're just going to go off without a hitch. CJ Carr's apparently a Heisman contender. Like, what are we talking about? I don't get it.
Yeah. I'm still very shocked about some of the names as well. How about you? Anybody else? Anybody else that stands out to this top 25 preseason?
Yeah, for me, Mason, you go. You got it.
For me, man, I am so far out on Ole Miss this year. I know they're everybody's darling right now, just because everybody still wants to give them some love, just because Lane Kiffin left them in a weird way.
But torn girlfriend, man.
Yeah, I'm so out on them this year. That schedule is going to be a gauntlet for them. I think every year for like the past 14, 15 years, there might be one that didn't happen. There's always a top 10 team that completely falls out of the AP top 25 poll. To me, right now, that's Ole Miss. I mean, locked and loaded, shoot it, and we're good.
How about you, Press?
Yeah, I know. Like at first, I thought Georgia being ahead of Texas was kind of shocking to me because I have Texas winning the SEC this year. They're my favorite. Okay. But I remember when I first saw this, Penn State is like a weird one for me because I know they have a weak schedule and they're going in like first-year head coach with Matt Campbell. Mason, I know you've said before that you like Matt Campbell. I feel like I like him too, but I'm just not sure how I feel about Penn State year one being willing to say like, oh yeah, they could potentially like make the playoff and, go have this like huge run in the Big Ten. Like I just don't see it year one.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. I like Matt Campbell as a head coach. I thought he did a fine job, and I think it was in Iowa Iowa State.
Iowa State.
And he brought in Rocco Beck with him as well, who I like Rocco Beck, but he's not a playmaker, all the time. He's a gunslinger, so a dangerous guy, and you can't mess around in that division or in that conference. It'll bite you in the butt. So I'm interested to see how far they fall or how far they can climb. I was right there. Utah's there in the top 25. I'm not sold on Utah, especially after Willingham departs to Michigan. However, Michigan could be really, really good this year. But it all depends on how well Whittingham can get Bryce Underwood in there. Go ahead, Ant.
Hey, sorry, I gotta raise my hand because I like to like scream a lot, so I'm sorry, y'all. So my co-host will always mute me because I like to scream. But I will say this: I think Ole Miss. I don't like Ole Miss being number 9. I have a problem with that really, really seriously. They should be 20 to 25. They should be in that ranking. If you're looking at it, man, you lost Lane Kiffin. You've lost 6 players going into the draft. You're not bringing back anybody that's stable enough, and yet you're still 9. I have a problem with that. I also can't stand, the fact that this is happening. There are teams that should be in the top 5 that are not in the top 5. I have a problem with this right now. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I don't like Oregon, and I don't like Ohio State being number 1 and number 2. I have a problem with it, and I know you guys might actually agree with this, but I think it's bullshit. Excuse my language, but Oregon and what? Because they have a great. Here's the thing: they have a great costume. That's what makes them number 1. That pisses me off so bad. It makes me angry. Look, man, they can play good football, but we're gonna sit here and give them number 1. We're gonna give Ohio State number 2. AP. You got the AP, and I can't remember what the other one is because I'm so angry. You got 1 and 2. I'm a little pissed off. I have a problem with Ohio State and Oregon being number 1 and number 2. Like it, I hate it. I think it's disgusting. Ole Miss being number 9 is a problem with me. I don't think you lose 6, 7 starters. Going into the NFL, did they
lose their running back? Did they lose Lacey?
Keiwan Lacey is back and Trinidad is back. That's the hype, is that you got the backfield.
Those
back,
2 guys are the only reason they're in the top 10 right now. Without Trinidad and Keiwan, there's no way you would consider Ole Miss a top 10 team. No way.
Well, I mean, that is going to prove to be a pretty good offense. So if their defense and looking at this, the rankings, Ohio State, Oregon, Ole Miss, those are all offensive led teams. To A&M, you can lump them in there as well. Are all offensive teams. They're returning a key parts of their offense, and so it would make sense that as to why you would rank them, believe in them so much. But yeah, I'm not sold on Ole Miss being that high. They lost a lot of key defensive pieces as well. So and again, to reiterate, Indiana's dropping all the way out of the top 5 after winning the national championship. And with that same defensive staff that they have, we saw what they did to some really great schools, great quarterbacks all year long. I'm not sure how good that is. Let's go ahead, Preston. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you with Indiana. I don't understand how you have a team that just won the national championship last year, but you put 2 teams that they beat head-to-head. Oregon they beat twice, and they killed them in the semifinal when they played them last. And you got those 2 teams ranked 1 and 2. I don't – especially that Indiana got some ballers out of the transfer portal. I'm pretty sure I can't remember his name. They got a wide receiver from Michigan State who's probably going to be wide receiver 1 for them this year. And then they got Josh Hoover from TCU, which, I mean, if you watched TCU football last year, he was the only bright spot on that team. So – I really do look, as long as Kirk Cignetti's at Indiana, they could win it every year. I'm just with it right now.
I can see that. I can see that. Look, he was an excellent job by him turning that team around so quickly, making that defense so good. I think is what impressed me the most about them. So look, you talked about it, Preston. You're picking Texas to take the SEC this year. Give me a little bit of the background you got behind that, talking about the SEC.
Yeah, I think Texas just all around right now, last year, I think they were a young team. There was a lot of hype for Texas last year, right? Preseason number 1 team coming into it. They had Arch Manning coming into his first year starting. I think there was a lot of pressure year 1 out the gate for Arch. And a lot of those guys, there was a lot of young receivers, a young running back room. So there's a lot of pressure on that entire team to perform. And then you had Ohio State week 1, right? And you kind of just went off the rails for a little bit there. And I mean, I was at the Florida game, so I saw how downhill that went for them. But, they went out and won basically every game on their schedule except for Georgia. I think they dropped the one to Georgia, but they beat everybody else, right? And in the bowl game against Michigan, they whooped them. So I really am a believer in Texas, man. They return Arch Manning. They get some big portal pickups with Hollywood Smothers, the running back from NC State, and then the big name being Cam Coleman from Auburn, right? So those two guys are going to be key pieces. And then I think it's Ryan Wingo or Derek Wingo. I can't remember his name, but he's also a wide receiver over there at Texas that is going to make a big impact for him. And then obviously you got Colin Simmons coming off the edge, and that Texas defense basically every year is a threat. So I don't know, man. I just think Texas, after last year, with them being young and just kind of going through some growing pains, I think this is the year to get it done in the SEC for sure.
Well, and that's the key, is that they do grow. Now, the one thing that, they've got a pretty favorable schedule. The two games I think that are gonna be their issue this year, they get Texas State to open up, and then week 2 they have Ohio State, but it is in Austin this year as opposed to them going to the Shoe. So I think that does make a difference. They've got Florida, they got Ole Miss, they got LSU. Those aren't easy games, but you expect the team with the amount of talent that Texas has to get by those teams. Then they got A&M to end the season Black Friday. So it's not an easy schedule, but it's a lot more favorable, especially with the amount of talent they have. I could very easily see Texas being right there for a conference championship. How about Cam, Mason? Any of y'all got a prediction for the SEC championship?
Yeah, I'll kind of piggyback because I am kind of there with Preston on Texas. They just spent a ton of money on that roster. In today's age, that's kind of what you're looking for, unfortunately.
Right.
But, other than that, you're looking at Georgia, right?
Right.
It's going to be – can Kirby kind of adapt a little bit more to what's going on in college football now? Obviously, he's a defensive specialist, but you're kind of seeing that college football is starting to favor the offensive specialists. And I don't think Kirby's the type of guy that's going to be left in the dust. So can he improve his offense with Gunnar Stockton, XYZ? Other than that, man, to me, there are so many question marks behind those two teams because, like I said, I'm out on Ole Miss. I'm also out on Texas A&M. I think because their schedule – yeah, Texas 8-4 is kind of a running joke for us. But because their schedule was so soft last year, I think you're going to kind of see some regression coming into this year. But you obviously have the questions with LSU, Lane Kiffin's first year. They spend a ton of money on their roster. Alabama's got a ton of questions. There's just questions all over the SEC after Texas and Georgia to me. And so that's why I'm kind of favoring those two right now.
Gotcha. How about you, Cam? Any light? Do you think possibly LSU can be better, or?
I think they're definitely going to be better than last year. You can't get much worse than a Brian Kelly special of what happened last year. So they're definitely going to be better. I think the schedule for LSU is just too brutal to go unscathed. That's kind of where, when it comes to picking who is going to win the SEC, it's like, all right, who has the best schedule? Who has the easiest schedule? Texas is pretty decent. They still have a hard road. You go Oklahoma, Florida, Ole Miss. In a 3-game stretch. That's not going to be easy. LSU, Lang, welcome in. You get Dabo week 1, who's always going to have a chip on your shoulder. Also, 2 weeks after that, you get to walk into the Hornets' nest that's on Ole Miss, and then after that, you get Texas 8-4, who's, we haven't beaten Marcel Reed since he's been at A&M. So you got that going up. And then, you in November, you get through that. You have a pretty easy-ish, October. Here's your November, Lane. You got Alabama, Texas, at Tennessee, at Arkansas, just to end your season, man. It's just brutal. So it's a hard schedule. I think they're going to be a playoff team, probably. It all comes down to the offensive line. But when it comes to a pick for the SEC, just with the schedule, I don't see LSU there. I think the sleeper, though, and some people were talking about this at media days, and Mason likes this sleeper pick as well, is Oklahoma. Oklahoma is legit if they can run the ball because their defense is going to be outstanding under Brent Venables. If John Mateer can relearn how to throw a forward pass, then you know what? They're dangerous. And if you have a running back, John Mateer, before he hurt his thumb, was thought of the Heisman favorite. So, I think there's a lot of hype there if they can protect him. They have all their offensive linemen back. I think that's a sneaky pick for SEC champion. But when it comes to Georgia, like the issue for Kirby at Georgia the past, 3 or 4 years has been pass rush. They haven't been able to find that consistent pass rush, which is when you need it against the Ole Misses last year in the playoff and any of these other teams. Is if you have a pass rush, you're good, but they just haven't had one. And then it's always just a rotation of, all right, who's going to be wide receiver? So that's kind of the problem with Georgia. Texas, is their offensive line going to be improved? That's kind of the big question for them. How tough are they going to be? That like we've had hype for Texas for 3 to 4 years now. So at some point it's all right, when's enough talking and when are they actually going to do something? I feel like that's just kind of the Texas way. You Arkansas folks might know a little bit better than me, but
yep, you are absolutely right.
That's kind of the thing with the SEC this year. And, you see all these Big Ten people puffing their chest out. It's like, okay, congratulations. You have 2 or 3 teams. I mean, you could probably pick a name out of a hat of 8 of the top 8 teams in the SEC right now. It might not be super surprised. You'd be able to make a good case for why they won the conference or why they even went to Atlanta for the championship game. Obviously, Arkansas is going to be nowhere near that list, but you know what? It is what it is. So.
had to slide that one in there, didn't you?
Listen, Saturday Rivals.
You know
man,
what?
That's what we do, brother.
Excuse me. Did you say something? Yo, Cam, man, you're really dope, man. I love your statistics, man. I love what you're saying, man. Mason, I love what you're saying. Preston, I love what you're saying, man. Good being and being a fan of that, that tirade of like nonsense of winning. I get it. I understand. I'll be here for you, man. I will be here for you, man. If you want to root for the Denver Broncos secretly, man, I'll be here behind you. Shout out to my homeboy Freezy Sports for being a Denver Bronco, and he would love these colors because I'm loving these colors right now. We got Cam over here with the LSU talk. We got Mason over here talking with this Alabama talk, but I love the fact that you said that LSU might be the one. Actually, can I tell you what I'm actually secretly saying? I'm an Arkansas fan, so I will tell you, looking at Arkansas, I don't believe in anything that's going on. We got one of the hardest schedules coming out. It's really hard being an Arkansas fan and looking at Arkansas and knowing that we have one of the hardest schedules coming out. There's no way. I don't believe this, and I'm going to tell you this right now as an Arkansas fan. I don't believe in Silverfield. I don't believe that he's going to lead us to glory. That's me keeping it honest with you. We got a lot of young talent. We got a lot of young offensive-minded weapons. Not going to happen. SEC football schedule, look at it. Hardest schedule, strength of schedule. We suck right now. Like, look at that. Like, it's not bearable. But when I look at you guys and you guys talk and you guys say, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Cam, I think you said, no, actually, I think it was Preston. You said Texas or LSU. One of y'all said LSU. I look at the team and I look at them and I'm like, all right, cool. Look at where they came from. Look at where they were last year. All right. You have an Arch Manning. He's coming in. He's quote unquote going to be the quarterback of the future. But he showed that towards the last part of it. But they lose a few people that was his key weapons. So that's gone. Now we look at Ole Miss. Whoever said Ole Miss is going to be top 9, top 10, whoever that writer was, I kind of want to smack them in the face because there's no way you're putting Ole Miss at number 9. I don't know why they're number 9. Maybe y'all can agree with me, but I believe Ole Miss should be like in the top 20, 25. You lost Lane.
Well, and I think part of the issue is that they've got an easy schedule, and so that's probably why you got to think. To be fair, you look at that roster in Ole Miss, which is not a cheap one, by the way. You partner that with them having, kind of an easier strength of schedule in this division or in this conference. You don't feel bad about what they return. So again, if they can just play enough defense to make sure that the opposing offense doesn't score as much as we expect, Chambliss and Lacey and that group. They've still got a couple guys that were former Razorbacks, Luke Haas and I forgot the tackle's name that transferred with them. They've got a good team. I don't think they're going to finish in the top 10, or be in the playoffs or anything like that. But they've got a favorable schedule. That should make it easy for them that they should win, 9, 10, 12 games, 11 games there. They've got Louisville, Charlotte. They do have LSU early. Cam, let me ask you something. Speaking of Ole Miss and LSU, were you aware of the LSU-Ole Miss rivalry?
So when it comes to rivalries for LSU fans, it's all like generational. Like, I've heard it. Okay. I didn't like the thing. Like, I don't have a granddad that was an LSU fan to tell me the stories of the grand Ole Miss rivalry because they aren't relevant hardly ever anymore. So
right.
I don't really have that. But like, oh, we want to hate somebody just because like, okay, like I'm good with that. But for me, like when it comes to rivalry, like the big rivalries for me, like because of family, it's Auburn, and because I live in this state, it's Alabama. Like those are 1-2. So. Right. That's just kind of how it is for me. But like, I think it's awesome and fun that because of the whole lane situation that the Ole Miss rivalries kind of cranked up a little bit, at least for the next couple years. Because like, I understand in the sense of like, I've been on their side, maybe not to the extent, but like we had to do a Saban piecing out, going to the Dolphins and then coming back and being at Alabama forever and being the greatest coach ever. We had to deal with that. So, like, in that sense, I get it, but it also wasn't Nick left immediately for Alabama. So there is a little bit of difference that I can kind of understand, but like, it is what it is. But, like I said, it's Ole Miss. They aren't relevant, so it doesn't really matter. We're going to beat them here in week 3. And my hot take is they're not going to be relevant come November. Nobody's going to be talking about it. So
that might not be as hot as you think. That's a solid take. But so obviously living down here now, kind of, while I'll never be a fan of anything in Louisiana State, it is fun. It's a great sports town, Baton Rouge is, and so it's cool to see that. It's so cool to be so close to so many other really great sports markets as well. And so, when Ole Miss came to town a few years ago, I worked in hotels forever. And so, when Ole Miss came to town, I didn't fully understand what that rivalry meant. I didn't, and as a matter of fact, they beat LSU, which I was happy about that. But then to kind of listen to an old guy like break down the history, of this rivalry, how close they are to Oxford and what it means is actually pretty special. It's cool to see that kind of sports history. And while it's kind of the most shady way to do it, it is cool to see how this rivalry is going to crank up with, Lane going from Ole Miss to LSU. And even more, the kind of his reasoning behind it was very, very like, icky is the phrase that comes to mind. But yeah, I definitely was just shocked by it, but also intrigued by that rivalry. The SEC is going to be the dogfight it always is. Are you muted? He's not muted, is he? Yeah. I guess he is.
No, I muted myself. I had a lot of things going on. Okay. Sorry, I got a question for Mason. Mason, you're an Alabama fan, right?
Unfortunately.
Okay, so and this is not me talking a lot of mess. I want to ask you, going into your second year without Saban, given that Cam was talking about how Saban is the greatest coach, one of the greatest coaches, he probably is. Go hands down. You can't knock this.
Hard to argue with.
Knock this out. He is the greatest coach of college football. All right. How do you feel going into your second season without Saban, going into your second year?
So this
second or
is
third?
yeah, it's actually third year.
I
under
think
Kalen
is
DeBoer.
it second or third?
It's
I thought
third
it was.
year. Yeah, so it's third year under Kalen DeBoer right now. It's a weird feeling because this is probably the lowest that we've been ranked coming into the initial AP poll voting in a while. But it's a really weird feeling because there is a lot of talent on this team, but there's also so many question marks that you're going to have to fill out. I mean, last year they couldn't run the ball to save their lives, and the offensive line was really sketchy. So now you're having to kind of figure out if you can kind of rejuvenate the run game, if you can fix the offensive line. And then the big question is, what are you doing at quarterback? I think it should be Keelan Russell, just because to me, he's a actual playmaker compared to Austin Mack, who is going to be able to get the ball to your playmakers. So there's kind of a difference between the two. And that's just the question marks on the offensive side, along with, can Ryan Williams bounce back? And then you're replacing a ton of guys on defense. The front seven might be a little shaky, but like I said earlier, there's just a lot of talent on the team. I said it before. I think they probably have the highest ceiling to floor ratio of a lot of teams in the top 15, I'll say, since we're ranked at 13. And so it's just going to be it's a weird year. Every year with Saban, it was always it didn't matter where we were ranked, in my opinion, because you can kind of just assume that it was just going to get figured out by the end of the year. And so now it's like time to start trusting people.
It's been so long since I've heard those particular holes as question marks and issues that you have to worry about. Can't run the ball, front seven shaky. Man, it's been 20 years since I've heard that. It almost didn't feel real to hear you say it. And great segue by Ant, because exactly what I was going to ask first was, your thoughts on being ranked so low. So again, shameless plug here, the Kings of Saturday docuseries will be out next year, and we did obviously picking some of the different schools I picked. Alabama, one of the rules I had was you had to be good for 6 years. Alabama had 3 separate teams that I could have chosen to highlight as the team of choice. It's been unreal what we've seen out of them for the amount of time. And so in interviewing the Sports on Court girls as part of that group, they were the question
Preston
I
is
asked
shaking his head. I want to know why Preston is shaking his head.
Because it's gross what Alabama's done. It's unreal. But look, so here's the deal, man. I asked him, when did you realize that y'all were a dynasty? And my God, Rachel goes, oh, well, after our second championship, we realized that maybe, hey, our team's pretty good. And so it's look, again, kudos to y'all Shula fans that have been Bama fans for so long. You deserve all 6 rings and everything that's come with it. But it's hard to kind of as hard as it was to watch them win all those games and turn into a video game. It's crazy to think that what's made them so good for years, and look, even more because Kalen DeBoer hung his hat on being a run game guy. Like, he had a great rushing attack in Washington. So it was just amazing. It's amazing to hear you say that the big question mark for Alabama after 20 years is the run game. Amazing. Just, we're in different times. That's for sure.
I'm sorry. I want to hear what Preston has to say. Preston has a lot to say. Preston's been laughing the entire time.
Man,
go ahead, Preston.
I hate Alabama's guts for what they have done over the past 15 years. Okay. I hate them. I absolutely hate them. Now, yes, Nick Saban, GOAT, like no question about it. Best coach of all time. But y'all could have shared some of those natties, man. Y'all got 6. Like,
what are we, 5, Preston? We're sharing now. Come on.
You gotta throw some my way, man.
This ain't little league no more.
Look, I was 4 years old whenever Florida won in 2008. I haven't seen a natty. All right, so I need something, man. I got basketball. That's all I got right now. I got basketball. I need football to start picking it up.
Well, listen, if it'll help you out, Andy Preston, the Razorbacks were picked to be national champions in 1977, and I've decided to start claiming that one because some obscure post that doesn't make content anymore picked us instead of who was I don't know. It's a long story, but Alabama beat someone and we beat Texas, and so like that year it was mayhem. That year, like 3 of the top 5 teams fell, and so everybody else picked Alabama, I believe it was, or something like that. And this one school picked us to be this one newspaper picked us to be their national champions, and I'm gonna take it. 1977 national champion Arkansas Razorbacks. There it is.
Hey, Cam, I got a question for you, man. Can you be my best friend, man? Because we obviously do not like what Preston or Mason just said. So, like, can you be my best friend? Even though you're an LSU fan, but I don't believe in anything they just fucking said. Excuse my language. So please be my best friend right now, man. This is me offering to be your best friend. Would you be my best friend, even though we're going to be rivals coming up soon? Would you be my best friend besides my co-host? Because what they just said was nonchalantly bullshit. All right. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. You got one that's an Alabama fan. One is literally man, honestly, Freezy Sports. I can't wait for Freezy Sports to get on here and be like, that's Denver Broncos. And we'll be like, no, sir. That's not Denver. It's not a college football team. Denver Broncos are not a college football team. But I'm just saying, look, man, when we look at the state of college football, and I want y'all to understand something. And I want y'all to, maybe y'all can agree or maybe think about it. But if you look at the state of college football, think about what we're going through with so many people leaving. All right, you got Jeremiah Love. I actually liked watching his preseason game. Taking those short passes, short routes, and being able to take 5 yards and make 15. You look at a lot of these rookies coming out of the major teams that came, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh man, they may be doing something good. Who do you feel had the college opportunity that was stolen from them?
What you mean, like player-wise?
Player-wise.
That's a good question.
That's a great question. I tell you what, let's do this. Let's have Cam jump. Give us. You know what? Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should go with Preston. We don't care about LSU, do we? At all?
Nah.
All right, fine. It's fine. Look, I got some people that are gonna see this in at my church. I'm sure they'll care about LSU. So all right, fine. Give me what you're thinking as far as either questions, key additions, anything that maybe gets you a little excited about LSU. Cam, talk to me. Well, obviously there's our boy Lane Kiffin, but give me your thoughts on LSU going into this season.
I mean, it obviously starts with the Lane train. I mean, listen, the offense is going to be better, okay? It has to. You can't get much worse than what garbage I watched last year with the Civ offensive line. Beautiful. Didn't we beat Arkansas still, or did we even play? I don't even remember. That whole season is out my mind right now. So, but
Jesus Christ, going for the jugular, ducking over here.
Listen, I think Harold Perkins just got another sack. I don't know.
Damn it. Look, man, and here's the worst part. The worst part of this all is apparently there's 2 more Weeks brothers aside from Whit and God bless, more mullets. God, all right, keep going.
So the key for LSU is gonna be offensive line again. Has it improved? They've got a couple of transfers in with Jordan Seaton is kind of the big one that everybody's talking about. Is Sam Levitt gonna stay healthy? He's got the Liz Frank that he had to deal with that, Derrick Henry in the NFL dealt with that. It was fine afterwards. Then you got Cam Newton, whose career basically ended along with his shoulder kind of giving out on him. So it's kind of this mixed bag of what are you going to get? Everything sounds like it's going to be okay, but still got to wait and see for him. And can we run the ball? Like Mason and everybody's talking about when's the last time Alabama hasn't been able to run the ball? Man, like besides Jaden, Brian Kelly was never able to run the ball at LSU. And so like it's been years since we've had a real running game too. And like you go back to the Les Miles era, whenever I'm watching us win these games, 21-17, grinding it out in the I formation with the power dive, like you tell me then, hey, you guys aren't going to be able to run the ball in about 20 years. I'm like, you're crazy. That's all we do. I'm begging them to throw it to Jarvis and Odell, So that's the key, though. If we can run the ball, that'll make it to where Sam Leavitt isn't so responsible for having to do everything for us. And Lane has to run the ball. That's what he always does. On defense, the defense, I think, is going to be really good. The name on defense to watch is the transfer from Boise State, Ty Benefield. He's going to be an All-American. He looks it, and he's a monster back there. And then you still got DJ Pickett and PJ Woodland at the corner spot. If either one of those guys gets hurt, though, you could be in trouble in the secondary because you don't have a ton of known commodities at corner after that. But defense should be good. You got Princewell Umamielen coming on one edge and Jordan Ross on the other edge. Both of those guys are transfers from Ole Miss and Tennessee. And then on the rest of the line, LSU's probably going to have 3 true freshmen rotating regularly on the defensive line with Deuce Geralds, Lamar Brown, and I forget the other one. What's that other one's name? All 3 of them were high picks. Richard Anderson. All 3 of those dudes. Like fall camp started, and Richard Anderson was like with the ones day one. Like true freshman. Okay. Like wow. This is Lane Kiffin realizing the difference between LSU and Ole Miss. Day one of fall camp. But that's kind of like the defense is going to be good. It's can the offense improve, and can they, play complementary football? That was the problem last year. Offense couldn't score. The defense was out there too long. It was a much improved defense, but like they got hung out to dry the whole time. So that's really the key. And can you navigate the schedule?
Yeah, it's not an easy schedule, but there's not any. The irony that they even bothered to rank the schedules in the SEC. There's not an easy schedule in this conference, and that's one of the things I think that's fun to watch is the surprises. How we beat up on each other. All through the year. How about you, Preston? You've got Florida, and look, you got a new head coach in John Summerall. I'd like to think that he's going to do better, but my biggest concern was that we thought highly. I did anyways of the last fella, and obviously being from down this way, or being from down this way, he was amazing down here, and then he went down there to the swamp and he just laid an egg, literally. It just mind blowing. And then you go get Summerall, and he's kind of from that same path. What's going to be different with Summerall than the name we shouldn't speak of?
Yeah.
Summed up, Billy, man. I called it. I'll just say that. I called it. Go ahead,
look,
Preston.
Cam, you will diss on any head coach that Florida will hire, so I would expect nothing less. Say, if we had hired Lane Kiffin, you'd be sitting here talking he's going to be gone in 3 years. Give it 3. Like, I would not expect any less from you. Anyway, I remember whenever we hired – I'll say it. I remember whenever we hired Napier back in 2022, I didn't think he was going to be like – I wasn't sitting here trying to say that he was going to be the next Nick Saban, but I did think he was going to be a similar coach as to being like the CEO, right? And having this like ginormous staff to be able to do a lot of the recruiting and a lot of the coaching that, maybe he's not able to be as hands-on with it. The mistake for him was just not hiring an offensive coordinator. Like, I think that was what got him fired ultimately, and he talked about it when he got hired at James Madison, if he had to go back and change anything, like that would be a thing. So it's like, I think if he had hired an OC, it probably could have turned around. I think there's a lot of questions as to what last year could have been had we hired an offense coordinator and had DJ Lagway not gotten injured in the offseason and had that time to kind of still get acclimated. Because, like, you got to remember, the dude was like barely playing his freshman season until he got just thrusted in there when Graham Mertz got hurt. Yeah. And so, a lot of questions from last season, but we'll talk about last year. Summerall was interesting, man. Summerall was interesting. I remember whenever I heard about Lane Kiffin basically being out for ball. Some that weekend after we beat Florida State, he got announced as our head coach. Everybody was just pissed, man. Like, our fan base was livid. We were sitting there going, we just fired a guy who had 40-plus wins, 4 years at a Group of 5 school in Louisiana, and then we go and hire a guy who's got 40-plus wins in 4 years at a Group of 5 school in Louisiana. So, people are going to sit here and try to compare apples to apples with that and say it's just going to end up the same way. But I do think when you look at Summerall, though, there's a difference. And just the demeanor immediately is the biggest difference, man. Go watch back those Napier press conferences and then watch Summerall just in his opening press conference. He comes out the gate, man. He does not wait and just brings energy and enthusiasm and just is pouring it all out straight up. He's just a straight up guy. And that's what I love about him is he just seems genuine. But man, I think, the 2 years at Troy, he was a winner at Troy, won 2 conference titles. He goes to Tulane when Willie Fritz leaves for Houston, comes into Tulane. He talked about it. He's like, I went to Tulane and it's everybody left. And I come in and this is a winning program. And it's man, what's going on? We got all these players dipped. I got to basically build a roster from scratch. Talking about you got to get 60 guys out of the transfer portal every season. And yet he was able to win a conference title there last season and made the college football playoff. And so there's a lot of potential, man. I think the biggest questions on this roster for me, quarterback obviously is one. I think Lagway leaving and going to Baylor. Honestly, good riddance because he wasn't that good. But him leaving definitely kind of just leaves a void at that position. But one of the best hires that I don't think gets talked about enough over the offseason, Buster Faulkner going from Georgia Tech, him coming to Florida to be our offense coordinator. This is a guy that won Offense Coordinator of the Year, was semifinalist for the Broyles Award, which is best assistant in college football. Mm-hmm. This guy's legit. So I really do think Buster's going to bring a dynamic offense that we haven't had since Mullen. Literally since Mullen's been there, we haven't had an offense that was able to move the football consistently and score points. But I'm excited for that. I think he's bringing a guy in Aaron Philo, who was a backup quarterback for Haynes King at Georgia Tech. That's going to be interesting to watch this season, I think, for Florida. You have Aaron Philo and Tramell Jones who are kind of in this quarterback battle right now, which nobody's talking about. But I think ultimately, Philo is going to be the guy. He's got the years of experience under that Buster Faulkner offense that I think he's going to end up getting the start. But, dude, regardless of what the quarterback situation is, if those guys can just be a point guard, we have some playmakers, man. We really do. I will sit here and tell you, I think we have a top 5 wide receiver room in college football, straight up. I think when you put our wide receiver room up against anybody else in the country, it stands to me at least that we're a top 5. Because you got a young guy, a lot of young guys. Really, you got Vernell Brown III, who showed some flashes last year, speedy dude, gadget type of guy. You have Dallas Wilson, which if you go watch that Texas game, dude is a monster. And he is a guy that I could definitely see being a breakout guy for us this year. And then the biggest pickup, I think, out of the transfer portal, outside of some of our own guys, Jaden Woods was in the transfer portal for a month, I think it was, visited Texas. And then we were able to bring him back. Summerall did an in-home visit with a guy that was on his roster already. So, that speaks volumes that he was able to get that return. But Eric Singleton from Auburn coming over and joining Buster Faulkner again, because he was at Georgia Tech when Buster was there, that's a big pickup. So that wide receiver room is loaded. And I'm not even talking about like the rest of the depth chart. Like I think there's a lot of unknowns still with some of the other guys, but there's plenty of talent in that room to where, you know, if one guy doesn't step up, you can just look right across to the other side of the field and you got another, you know, NFL draft pick waiting to get the ball in his hands. So like this roster's loaded. And then better yet, you got Jaden Barr, running back, who's top 5 running back in the country going into this year. I mean, I don't know if you could ask for much more from the skill position aspect in year one for Summerall, but it's the quarterback and then the offensive line too. I think the offensive line's a big question mark as to like shifting pieces around, trying to figure it out. I think the guard play is going to be fine. And like our center, like we have a center from Georgia Tech, Harrison Moore, who I think is going to be pretty good. But the tackle positions are for sure, I think, the question marks. I think that's something that I know, like Cam brought up with LSU, that's something that is a question mark for me as well, Florida. But I think if the quarterback position, like mark my words, if quarterback and offensive line can just be good enough, like we could be like a dark horse playoff team by the time you get to November. Like I'm dead serious because we look at that schedule at the game, like you got the 2 games basically to warm up and then you're right in it. And so I'm excited, man. I think this team has a lot of potential, and the capability to go out and go 10-2 is there, and then the capability to go out and go 7-5 is there. So it's like, you know, I just don't know what to expect yet.
Yeah, you know, the schedule definitely opens up for you guys. You know, Florida Atlantic, a Campbell team. I would expect y'all with that kind of talent to beat Auburn and maybe a loss to Ole Miss or Missouri. I wouldn't see both as an L. So you look before you get to Texas in the middle of October, you should be 5-1 or 4-2 at worst. You know, and then you hit your bye at 5-2, and then that's when it kind of gets a little dicey. There's Georgia, there's Oklahoma, and then you finish off the Black Friday with Florida State. So you know, you could very easily, you know, I would expect to be 9-3 for Florida. Like I said, 7-5 is there, but 10-2 is very likely as well. You know, with that amount of talent. And you know, with that whole head coaching staff or that whole coaching staff, it shouldn't be too hard to see them have another good year down in the swamp. So definitely exciting, you know, and the conference as a whole is going to make some play. You know, there's a lot of playmakers. There's a lot of really great movers and shakers of all three. You know, look, and you know, I'm not holding my breath over in Fayetteville, man. We you know, Silverfield's done pretty well recruiting and bringing some guys back, but this conference is loaded, man. There's talent everywhere, all over. So I don't expect a lot out of us, but it should be fun to watch. As a journalist, you know, as a sports broadcaster, I'm excited to see what all happens in this conference. But as far as, you know, my favorite team and as a fan, it's basketball season. So.
Well, I know we asked Tanja this when she was on the show with us last week, but like, give us the look in. Like, what is life like as an Arkansas football fan? You know, the glory days of Ryan Mallett and with you know, Darren McFadden. You know, those have been a long time ago now, and so now you've been dealing with old Brett Bielema, and you got Ryan Silverfield now, and you had Big Sam Pittman. So, like, what's it like? Give us the insight. What is that like, and how do you go out like every football season when it's like, and it's every football season y'all have the toughest schedule somehow. Every year it's that way. Maybe you need to talk to your AD on scheduling some cupcakes. I don't know.
Listen, Yurachek, there's a lot of things that we need to discuss with Yurachek. And it's way before we get on the field. So, as a Razorback fan, I'll tell you this. So part of my research for Kings of Saturday included I came up with sort of a formula of the 3 different things that I wanted to see out of a dynasty. And I tried to find a way, even including that 1977 championship, to get us to the dynasty. We're not there. But I was pleasantly surprised, and here's what happens as a Razorback fan. When you're least expecting it, kind of like I am now, where it's just like, man, it's basketball season. I don't care. Well, good luck out there, y'all. I'm never going to root against this or, bet against this to cheer, against this, but I don't have a lot of hope. And usually that's around the time where a team will sneak up and they'll win 7, 8, 9 games. It's like, oh, well, we beat them. Is that right? That's cool. And then you start believing in yourself and you start believing in the team and bloop, they let you down. That's what it's like to be a Hogs fan. And I hate it, but I can't not love them. I don't know what else to do because I'm afraid that the one time that I go, screw the Hogs, they're going to win a national championship. And I'm just, and everyone's going to go, well, I thought you didn't like the Hogs and you're a bandwagon fan. So I don't want to be that. So I'm just going to keep at it. And, one day they're going to do it. We're going to take Nick Saban's brain out of his skull and put it in somebody, and we're going to win 6 rings, and it's going to be well worth it. I don't know when, whatever, 2021 champion, here we come. So whatever. But it's not fun. It's not. And look, being down here makes it even worse because, I started doing some math on this the other day. God rest his soul, Skip Bertman passed, the legendary baseball coach for LSU, and he had done so much for the program. And when he retired, they brought in Jay Johnson or whoever it was that came before Jay, and immediately Jay Johnson goes out and wins a national championship that fast. And they weren't a very good team during the regular season. They go out and win a national championship. They just got hot at the right time, and they went through the tournament, and some chips fell their way, and next thing you know, the GEAUX champion or whatever, they found a way to misspell it. And here, God bless Dave Van Horn. He's been putting pro baseball teams on college fields for 15, 20 years. And we can't go out, and all we got to do is catch a fly ball in game 2 of the oh my God, dude, listen, I won't get into it. But if you want to know what it's like to be a Razorback fan, it's that. We've got, whenever we're feeling too good about ourselves, we can just think about God bless my brother Reggie Fish. And I understand what he was thinking when he saw that punt. And so he just wanted to catch it and catch it at the 10 instead of it bouncing out at the 6. It was a great angle by a great kick. And we had no choice. He had to go catch it. And I don't know what happened. And he drops the punt. And Lewis Murphy picks it up, and somehow they were able to advance it for a touchdown, which I didn't think you could do. And that turned the tide, pardon the pun, and Florida turned it around in the conference championship, and they went out and won the ring. And we went and lost to Wisconsin after that or something. I don't know. Just dumb things happen, and that's life as a Razorback fan. There's lots of good that happens, y'all. There's lots of good. There's a 94 championship. There's 45, 50 national championships in track. We're really, nobody's faster than us. And somebody finally had the brains to get some of those track folks to come over and play football. Can you believe it? We might actually be good at wide receiver because we got some track guys that are going to take off for a little bit and, run some go routes for us. But that's it. There's 100 things that I can name them. I could throw them back to back, and I got a bunch of old head uncles who could do the same thing. But that's what it's like as a Razorback fan. Thank goodness we got John Calipari in the number 1 recruiting class. Those guys, all those guys are going to be lottery picks here next summer, and I'm looking forward to that. And somehow we're going to probably not win a championship still, and that's okay because I'm saying that so that way I'll be pleasantly surprised when they do. That much talent on a basketball court, and you don't. It's Calipari. He'll find a way. He's got 1 ring, by the way. All that time at Kentucky, 1 ring. Amazing. Anyways, but that's what it's like to be a Hogs fan. But it's fun. And, when you get I say that's fun. I've cried a lot of tears, a lot of tears. But when all right, but thankfully I'm 41. I'm old enough to remember 1994. And that was an amazing year. And the gauntlet we went through to get, through that tournament. And look, man, we beat chalk. I'm talking Kansas, UNC. Blue bloods, man. And then Duke to finish it off, like with that legendary shot by the old Rustin rifle Scotty Thurman. Like, dude, like, I mean, when you go through that gauntlet and you get that, it's special, you know. And again, you know, to bring it to a broader view, man, as the reason why I call it the Fanatic Sports Podcast is because I'm a Royals fan. We stink a lot. We need pitching right now. But, you know, I became a Royals fan because I started making friends with a lot of the AA guys who went to Omaha and the AAA. Then you know, they got the call up to Kansas City, and we watched pretty much that 2014 team that lost in the World Series. Most of that team, except for like 2 or 3 players, all went to Northwest Arkansas. They played in Northwest Arkansas, and so, you know, you see them make it to the World Series, and then they get back and they win it the next year, and it's a reward that's you can't match that feeling. And so that's what it's like for the Hogs. And you know, it's been 30 years since we won a basketball championship, and it's been 50 since we won a football championship of any kind. I mean, you know, but look, I feel like we're gonna surprise some people. You know, Silverfield did beat us last year in Memphis. He's got, you know, his team had some grit, and the players in Memphis responded well to him. I'm hoping they do the same in Arkansas. We've got a few pieces that I think can be good enough. You know, KJ Jackson, I really like him. I think he can be a playmaker. Unfortunately, he's left-handed, and I don't play well with left-handed quarterbacks on NCAA football, so I've had to go searching for other. Yeah, I know. It's depressing, and even worse, you know, I don't like to play with the big schools, so I tried West Virginia. They're way too slow. I tried Washington. They just don't have the horses to run, and so I had to start playing with Michigan, and Michigan's got a squad. They've got a squad anyway. So, but I feel like Arkansas's got some pieces. Hey, look, we'll win 6 games. We'll get to a bowl game, and you know, maybe we'll make it really close against Kansas State or something. I don't know. You know, that's the best I got to offer. You know, but Arkansas will rise again, I guess. That's as good as I got for this year. Maybe something will happen in next year that, you know, Silverfield will do what they're paying him to do, which was revitalize this football program. You know, God bless Sam Pittman. He was really, really special as a player. I got the chance to meet him. He was really, really cool as a coach, and so really good guy. Man, but there's certain forks in the road, and he took the wrong fork, and it cost him his job. So it's tough to see, but that's the way it goes, man. That's it. Well, look, man, I can't say thank you enough for y'all joining us, man. It really has been a blast, and look forward to, you know, watching you guys' growth and more of what you're doing. Hopefully, all your teams lose. And did I say that out loud?
If all of our teams lose, man, then the podcast will be gold. Okay, I can guarantee you that.
It'll be rocking at that point.
Oh, you're muted, brother.
I was laughing too hard, and I unplugged my professional around here, if you can't tell. Well, everyone, please go check out the Saturday Rivals. I want to say thank you so much again for finishing up an awesome college preview week. You know, we started it off well, and we're going to end it pretty well. All that's left now, Saturday, is the countdown to kickoff with the boys. It'll be more mayhem like you guys have seen all week long. Saturday morning, we're gonna rock it out before, you know, to get ready to go. Look, we're a week away from college football being back. It feels special. Do you guys have chills? Anything? Nothing? All right, maybe it's just me. I'm super happy. So, you know, any shameless plugs, anything you guys are doing, anybody to shout out before we go?
No, man, just shout out to you, man. Thank you so much for bringing us on. We really appreciate it. This is Mason and I's third attempt on podcasting for sports. So we brought Preston along with us for the ride. So
that's what you were needing.
So,
the glue guy, Preston.
We needed the glue guy. So yeah, man, it's been awesome between you and Tanja and everybody that's been having our back and having us on and coming on. It's been awesome. So totally open to do it again, and we'll just keep on trucking. And hey, it's going to be a great year of college football. everything's going up, and we're looking forward to it and excited. So.
Well, very, very, very happy to have y'all on. Looking forward to watching everything you guys do, man. Thank y'all so much again. For Preston, Cam Mason, and of course the Angry Puerto Rican, man. We can't say thank y'all again for enough for joining us. This has been College Football Preview Week, man. Check us out. More to come. The pros to come. So many projects for the Fanatic Sports Podcast and the Fanatic Sports Group. And so we will see y'all real soon. Saturday, as a matter of fact. So keep watching. Thank you again. And as I always say, tough times don't last. Tough people do. Thank y'all for watching the Fanatic Sports Podcast.